Shalom from Israel to all of the Daystar viewers around the world. I'm Moshe Bar Tzvi, the producer and founder of Israel Now News. We at Israel Now News are dedicated to bringing you the full story and the truth about Israel from Israel. It's written in the Holy Bible when David said in Psalm 25:5, "Lead me in your truth and teach me, for you are the God of my salvation. For you I wait all the day long." And God says in Zechariah 8:16, "These are the things that you shall do. Speak out the truth to one another. Judge with truth and judgment to peace in your gates. And always search for the truth, and the truth shall set you free." John 8:31. I hope you enjoyed the program. God bless you from Jerusalem. Shalom, shalom.
Welcome to Israel Now News. I'm Yochanan El Rom.
And I'm Erin Viner.
In our top story, residents of Sderot were again sent running for bomb shelters as Gaza-based Palestinian terrorists resumed rocket fire on civilians in southern Israel. One of the missiles fell and exploded between two residential homes. Fortunately, there were no injuries. The Israeli Defense Forces retaliated with combined air and artillery strikes on Hamas terrorist infrastructure in Beit Hanun in the northern Gaza Strip, from which the rocket was launched. IDF officials announced that the army will continue to counter the radical, hate-based agenda of terrorists in the Islamist enclave aimed at harming Israeli citizens. This is the 14th missile from Gaza that has slammed into the Jewish state so far this year. In related developments, the Air Force also conducted a strike at a position belonging to the Syrian army just across the northern border after mortar shells landed in Israeli territory.
Hundreds of Israeli soldiers from 5 different battalions just conducted the largest raid of illegal Palestinian weapons factories so far this year. Guns, magazines, and arms components were confiscated from facilities in the Hebron and Bethlehem areas in a joint operation by the Army, Shin Bet Security Service, and Border Police. The mission comes as part of a new initiative to stomp out terror emanating from the Palestinian Authority and the Israeli Arab population. Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman presented a new plan based on increasing punishments to those who engage in violence, as well as strong incentives for those who do not. Villages which do not harbor terrorists will receive economic benefits and the easing of security restrictions, and by the same token, heavier measures will be implemented around the Arab towns that are home to Muslim terrorists.
The Jerusalem District Court has just indicted an Arab resident of the capital for contact with a foreign agent and using assets for terrorist means. Saif al-Din Abdel-Nabi has been charged with providing funds to Hamas inmates and the families of slain terrorists as encouragement for further attacks. The 39-year-old allegedly received the money in Turkey from Zakaria Najib, who is a known Hamas operative. Najib is a convicted Muslim terrorist who was freed in the 2011 Gilad Shalit prisoner exchange after serving 17 years in prison for his role in the 1994 abduction and murder of IDF soldier Nachshon Vaxman. Israeli security officials said the arrest provides valuable insight into the financial tactics utilized by Hamas.
That arrest came just as Turkey's parliament finally approved a reconciliation deal with Israel that ended a 6-year rift. Jerusalem is now hoping that Istanbul will abide by its pledge, under terms of the agreement, to prevent Hamas from carrying out further activities against the Jewish state from Turkish soil. The terror group will, however, still be allowed to operate from Turkey for what's being referred to as diplomatic purposes. Despite the efforts to normalize ties, Ankara issued a scathing condemnation of Israel's retaliation for the Gaza rocket attack, saying that no matter what, Turks will always support and defend their Palestinian brothers. The Israeli government said that it will not remain silent in the face of baseless condemnations and cautioned Turkey to think twice before criticizing the military actions of others, given its own controversial record.
Iran, the primary sponsor of Hezbollah, just reiterated its unceasing support for combatants against Israel. During recent commemorations of the national defense industry, the General Staff of the Iranian Armed Forces released a statement affirming Tehran's commitment to the Islamic resistance and anti-Zionism front, as well as on the battlegrounds in Iraq and Syria. The hardline republic is also boasting that it is continuing to increase the destructive power of its ballistic missile arsenal. Just last month, Iran reportedly conducted the fourth rocket test since its 2015 agreement with world powers to curb nuclear activity. The maximum range of this new missile is 2,500 miles, which is more than double the distance between Tehran and Jerusalem.
Israeli security services have announced that 3 makeshift explosive devices found along the northern border originated in Lebanon and were likely planted by Hezbollah terrorists. IDF sappers removed the incendiary materials without incident last month after they were inadvertently uncovered by a local farmer. Authorities believe that the bombs were intended to be used in attacks against the Israeli public. The Shiite terror organization has recently ramped up its efforts to recruit Islamist operatives from the West Bank and Gaza, as well as from within Israel.
Egyptian Christians staged a rare demonstration in Cairo to protest their treatment as second-class citizens in the Muslim-majority country. 36 brave members of the community stood on the steps of the courthouse in the capital, holding signs calling for recognition of their legal rights in disputes between Christians and Muslims. Christians make up about 10% of the 91 million people who live in the Arab Republic. They overwhelmingly supported Abdel Fattah al-Sisi when he overthrew radical Islamist regime in 2013, paving his path to the presidency. Recently, though, Christians have been voicing concern that their situation has not improved despite promises from the former army commander.
This past week marked major victories in the United States' fight against the BDS movement. The California legislature passed an anti-boycott law right after similar legislation was endorsed in New Jersey. Now, Florida passed its own measure with resounding support last February, but residents of the Sunshine State that say that that's not enough, and they just gathered to rally against the movement. Members of the Miami United Against BDS group says that it's their duty as Americans to defend against anti-Semitism and stand with Israel, the only true democracy in the Middle East. They're also demanding that Florida State Senator Dwight Bullard immediately resign his seat and end his bid for re-election after it was disclosed that he met with BDS co-founder Omar Barghouti during a visit to Gaza this past May. The Florida lawmaker also openly held talks with members of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, which was long ago recognized as a foreign terrorist group by the U.S.
Now that the 2016 Olympics are finally over, Israelis are thankful for their record performance in Rio. The 17-day competition culminated with a festive closing ceremony with the largest delegation the Jewish state has ever sent to the Games in attendance. The greatest achievements, of course, were the nation's 2 bronze medals in judo, one going to Yarden Gerbi in the women's half middleweight division and the other to Or Sasson in the men's heavyweight class. The Israeli team scored a 28% jump from 7 medals since first competing in 1952 to 9 after this year's Games. In Rio, the Israeli athletes succeeded in reaching the finals in 7 out of the 17 total events in which they participated. This compares to competing in just 10 contests at the 2012 Games in London. In addition, they qualified in 3 new sports: golf, the triathlon, and mountain biking. It's also a major source of pride that more than half of the Israeli Olympians were women.
There's been an amazing new archaeological discovery about halfway between Nazareth and the biblical town of Cana, close to the site where Jesus performed many miracles according to Christian tradition. A workshop that produced stone vessels in the 1st century of the Common Era was found inside of a limestone cave. Researchers say that several of the stone bowls and cups are remarkably similar to those that the faithful believe held the water that Jesus turned into wine.
Lift up your eyes and look around. All your children gather and come to you. Biblical prophecy is unfolding right before your very eyes. The people of Israel are returning to the Promised Land after 2,000 years of exile. But millions of Jews are still waiting to come home. Violent anti-Semitism threatens many of the Jews. We must rescue them before our window of opportunity slams shut. Bless Israel by supporting Keren HaYesod UIA, the official fundraising arm of the Jewish state. Together, we can help fulfill the prophecies of the Bible.
Let us bless Israel together.
To donate and get information, visit our website kh-uia.org.il.
That concludes the news portion of our show. Stay tuned for Ask the Source with Josh Reinstein.
Hello and welcome to Ask the Source. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein, and we're here on a beautiful sunny day in Jerusalem on our rooftop studio. My guest today is Aaron Cholov. He's one of the directors of the Jerusalem Youth Village. Aaron, thank you for being on the show.
You're welcome, man.
Tell our viewers a little bit about what is the Jerusalem Youth Village.
Well, the Israel Youth Village is an educational institute. Actually, we bring kids from 31 different countries to study junior and high school and grow up actually here. They come without the families, and this is one of our programs. The second program, we have also a French school where we bring kids from France to get their high school degree here, recognized by the French Republic, but most of them do Aliyah, they stay in Israel. We have a third program, which is an Israeli regular high school. Most of the kids were born in Jerusalem or around Jerusalem, and they joined the high school. And actually, many of them come from a difficult social and economic background, so they have a second opportunity to catch up and have a bright future. And the fourth, but not less important group, we have 40 autistic children because we wanted to give these kids the opportunity to be in a normal kids community, and not isolated, and for the regular kids to appreciate people that are not like them, and to know that God actually relate to us the same way.
What is the foundation of the Youth Village? Where did this come from?
Well, the Youth Village was actually established in 1949, and it's got two important things that I want to tell you. First of all, it was born during the battle for Jerusalem. One of the commanders of the battle took an oath and told his comrades, his companions, that if they won the battle for Jerusalem, he will open an agricultural school for the survivors of the Holocaust. The kids survived, and actually a few months later he maintained his promise, and the first 40 kids that came from the concentration camps, from the death camps, and survived were taken there. There were 40 orphans, and then the history tells us that it developed wonderfully in many stages that you might be interested to know about it.
So these kids come from all over the world. Do they make Aliyah? Do they go to the army?
This is a beautiful thing about the Youth Village. We have brought kids from all over the world, and thousands of them have remained in Israel. Actually, they made Aliyah. Today we have kids from 31 different countries, most of them from the ex-republics of the Soviet Union.
You know, you also mentioned that there's a French school. Why was France targeted as one of the areas that you wanted to work in?
Well, you know that France has got actually the largest community in Western Europe, about 500,000 French Jews, and they are very attached to Israel. So, you know, plus the situation today, you know, the growing anti-Semitism. So it is an opportunity for these kids to come to Israel, be connected to Israel, and being in a secure environment, you can say so, even if we have our own problems, but as Jews, they can fulfill themselves better in their own homeland.
It's interesting, they come in formative years for their high school and they come alone. But when they make Aliyah and they move here, do you see that their families follow them? Are their parents coming? Are their brothers and sisters joining them?
Yes, actually the first program is called Na'aleh, and it's very famous in Israel, and it's very important for Israel because, you know, it's a way to bring the kids, and in many cases, as you say, the families follow. And I cannot give you an exact percentage of the families that came, but I know it's a considerable number. And you know, for us Israelis, every Jew that comes back to the homeland is important, especially when we give these kids the opportunity to have a bright future in their own homeland.
Many people who believe in the Bible understand that Aliyah is fulfillment of biblical prophecy. How does this program have effect on Aliyah? What percentage of the students actually stay?
Well, you know, our mission is to do that, and if you see our website, for instance, you see a pasuk, a paragraph from Jeremiah 31, and bring the children to their own borders. Beshavu banim legvulam. So the kids that come to this program, you will be amazed, about 95% remain in the country, and moreover, you know, they feel so committed because we have given them so much that 90% are going to the IDF, and they go to elite units in the IDF.
You mentioned also that there are 40 students who are autistic. In Israel, autistic children are involved in a lot of different aspects of society and integrated. How does this give the confidence to the autistic children to get more involved in the workplace and things of that effect?
Well, you know, because they belong to a community, they feel like a part of the community, they go to eat in the same place as the other kids. You know, when the kids, they do a lot of hiking to see the land. This is part of their educational program. The autistic kids go with them, and the other kids take care of them. They also go to the Gadna, the pre-military experience, only for one day. So they put a uniform and they give them a rifle, at least to tell them, you know, you are part of us. So they feel great about it.
You mentioned that you take the students around the land of Israel to understand the land of Israel. Is there a Zionistic effort within the youth village? Is there a promotion of Israel as the land of the Jewish people?
Well, the youth village is Zionism. This is what it is. It's not a promotion. It's just about everything there is Zionism. We teach them to love the land. We teach them the history of the land, how they are connected to the land, and what can they do for the land. So at the end of their education, they become potentially the best Israeli citizens they can be.
Aaron, there are literally tens of millions of people watching this show. What message do you have for our viewing audience?
Well, this is a unique program, and I'm very happy to share it with you. You can learn more from our website. Our message is, let's help us to bring our children home.
Thank you, Aaron, for being on the show. And thank you for tuning in to Ask the Source. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein. Now back to the studio.
Up next, shining light from Israel.
There are two views of the Israeli military, what you hear in most of the media and the truth. I'm going to tell you the truth. I was the commander of British forces in Afghanistan. I have fought in combat zones around the world, including Northern Ireland, Bosnia, Macedonia, and Iraq. I was also present throughout the conflict in Gaza in 2014. Based on my experience and on my observations, the Israel Defense Force, the IDF, does more to safeguard the rights of civilians in a combat zone than any other army in the history of warfare. Why is this so? Firstly, Israel is a decent country with Western values run on democratic principles. Israel has no more interest in war than Belgium does. In fact, Israel has never started a war. The only reason it ever goes to war is to defend itself. And it has to defend itself because, unlike Belgium, it is surrounded by countries and armed groups that want to destroy it. Secondly, Judaism, with its unsurpassed moral standards, remains a major influence on the citizens of Israel. I say this as a non-Jew. Thirdly, the army is composed overwhelmingly of citizen soldiers. Israel's a small country with a small professional army. To fight a war, it depends on its conscripts and its reservists. These are ordinary citizens, from professors to plumbers, called upon to defend their homes. They don't want to be fighting, and they don't want to harm others. Nowhere was the essential morality and decency of the IDF more evident than in the Gaza war of 2014. If ever there was a purely defensive war, this was it. The war was started by Hamas, the terror organization, designated as such by the US State Department that runs the Gaza Strip. In the first 6 months of 2014, Hamas launched hundreds of rockets at Israeli civilians. After repeated warnings from Israel to stop, the Israeli Air Force finally conducted precision strikes to halt the rocket fire, and the IDF advanced into Gaza to destroy a network of terror tunnels that Hamas had constructed to attack Israeli communities near the Gaza border. The IDF took extraordinary measures to give Gaza civilians notice of targeted areas, dropping millions of leaflets, broadcasting radio messages, sending texts, and making tens of thousands of phone calls. Let me repeat that. The Israelis called Gazans on their cell phones and told them to leave their residences and move to safety. Never in the history of warfare has an army phoned its enemy and told them where they're going to drop their bombs. Many IDF missions that could have taken out Hamas military capabilities were aborted to prevent civilian casualties, increasing the risk to Israeli citizens and soldiers. Despite all of this, of course innocent civilians were killed. Every war is chaotic and confusing, and mistakes are frequent. But mistakes are not war crimes. Hamas, on the other hand, committed war crimes as official government policy. Hamas deliberately positioned its military assets among the civilian population, hiding weapons in schools and hospitals, and placing rocket launchers alongside apartment buildings, then forced those civilians to stay in areas they knew would be attacked. They also instructed their people to report the lie that every Gazan killed was a civilian, even if they were actually fighters. And if there were no civilian deaths, Hamas made them up. Numerous internet sites show Palestinians elaborately staging sniper victims and smashed ambulances, among other phony horrors. It's so common, there's even a term for it, Pallywood, as in Palestinian Hollywood. Ironically, it's the leaders of Hamas themselves who best understand the extraordinary measures the IDF will take to protect innocent civilians. They take full advantage of Israel's decency and adherence to the laws of war. No army takes such risks in order to protect civilians as the Israeli army does. I say this as a professional soldier. I say it because it's true, and people who care about truth should know it. I'm Colonel Richard Kemp for Prager University.
Please stay tuned for the ICEJ report from the International Christian Embassy, Jerusalem.
Today we're at Ben Gurion Airport to welcome 211 French immigrants who are arriving today to make Israel their home.
It's like a dream. Everybody is here. There are lots of happiness, lots of simcha. It's a great, great day. It's really moving. The Jewish state is so important for the Jewish people, and seeing Jewish people coming from abroad, from all over the world to make their lives here in Israel is such a brave move.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheyanu v'kiyimanu v'higyanu lezman hazeh.
I feel excited. It takes me back to my own Aliyah, and I always think about thousands of years of dreams and prayers, and what a great circle each of these people is closing.
V'kol echad mikem hayom asad tzad anak לבנות עתיד יותר בטוח לכם, לילדים שלכם ולכל אחד מאיתנו, למדינת ישראל.
Je suis très très contente. Merci d'être avec nous et de partager nos joies. Je suis très très contente d'être là pour accueillir les 200 Olim de France. Am Israel Chai ושלום לכולם, תודה רבה, et merci à tous.
The Christian Embassy Jerusalem has been our friend for many, many years. We work with them, and their donations and their help make days like today possible. Christians around the world, they are our best friends. And Christians and Jews, we belong together.
If you could sense the excitement in this room today and the dancing, you'd have wanted to dance too. The songs that were sung were rejoicing in God's faithfulness, the covenant-keeping God who keeps his promises to his people. If you want to be a part of helping more people return to Israel, go to icej.org/aliyah.
In 1980, the Israeli parliament passed a law declaring a united Jerusalem as the eternal capital of the State of Israel. Threatened by the Arab League with an oil embargo, national embassies in Jerusalem closed their doors. That same year, Christians from around the world gathered in Jerusalem to celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles. Sensing the isolation of the Israeli people, the participants and leaders of this gathering decided to establish the International Christian Embassy in Jerusalem.
The International Christian Embassy Jerusalem is since more than 30 years right here in Jerusalem to connect the global church with the nation of Israel. For many Jewish people throughout the centuries, the only face of Christianity, what they experienced, was the ugly face of anti-Semitism, of Christians persecuting the Jewish people wherever they found them. As Christian Embassy, we are here in Israel to show a new face of the church, a new face of Jesus Christ to the Jewish people.
The mission of the International Christian Embassy Jerusalem is fourfold: to educate the global church about Israel through events, television programs, and print publications, to promote Christian celebration in Israel and around the world through the annual Feast of Tabernacles celebration, to mobilize the worldwide body of Christ in prayer for Israel, influencing global leaders and ICEJ representatives in over 80 nations, and to show compassion to the people of Israel through social projects that are changing lives in every sector of Israeli society. To learn more about the ICEJ and how you can partner with us, visit icej.org.
That's all for this edition of Israel Now News. I'm Yochanan El-Rom.
And I'm Erin Viner, reporting from our studio in Jerusalem. Please join us again next week for all of your Israel updates.